welcome to Opinion 2017. Thank you for joining us. This is where we have candid discussions, having your opinion. Of course, remember to share them via Facebook, and of course, we'll air them undoctored and uncensored. Very well, I'm joined by Mheshimiwa Nancy Abisai, who's a member of parliament for Iyala. Iyala being East Africa Legislative Assembly. Karibu sana Mheshimiwa.
Asante
It's been
sana.
a while. Very good to see you.
Thank you.
You are getting younger, should I say. And of course, we are joined by political analyst and researcher, Vickery Omwando. How are you, sir?
I'm good.
Uko mzima?
Niko mzima.
Very well. Just one day after the NASA brigade, led by the NASA principals toward Kisii and Nyamira counties, I mean, there was such an emphatic reaction. I mean, Raila Odinga was received in a heroic fashion alongside Kalonzo Musyoka and other NASA leaders. Is this a deviation from the figures we saw from IEBC, Vickery?
You know, the numbers by IEBC were just fallacies. We can't really base our arguments, because you can't say that really Uhuru Kenyatta got votes in Nyamira and Kisii counties. Those were just manipulation to justify their fallacies.
Yes.
You must remember, it was the same Jubilee and Uhuru Kenyatta, the government, who came up with some fallacies that, you know, Kisii and Nyamira were battlegrounds. So to justify that, they had to, you know, steal the votes, so that they would say, okay, we told you this was a battleground, and it came to pass. So finally, when the courts nullified his election, the people were happy, because finally they're going back to the ballot, and this time around their voice must be heard. I think that's why they were happy.
Very well. We did mention that we will be having Mheshimiwa TJ Kajwang, a member of parliament for Ruaraka. I'm just going to go into a very quick break, but before I go into the quick break, Mheshimiwa, what's the reaction in Vihiga County, where you come from, and of course in the larger East Africa? In Tanzania, I heard there were celebrations after the court ruling. What's the take of people in Vihiga and in other parts of East Africa, because now you're more conversant about East Africa than the rest of us?
First of all, let me tell you that for this time around, anybody who is saying that there are some counties that are going to be swayed is actually living he doesn't understand, he or she does not understand what is happening on the ground. People are very happy.
Yes.
For the first time in Majengo, Mbale, which is the main road, it came to a standstill immediately after the announcement. Spontaneous. The borders, the matatus was just at a standstill. So anybody thinking that they can come and sell any other agenda in Vihiga, it will not work. And in the region, it's given Kenya a new lease of life in terms of the democratic principles. The court has opened up a very new chapter. And I think this was the best thing. I'm proud to be Kenyan because of this kind of ruling.
In Tanzania particularly, I remember the opposition leader, Lowassa, did assert that he was supporting Jubilee. People have been saying that Magufuli is associated with NASA. What is their particular take on this ruling? Because we are aware
First of all, I need
following the case very closely.
I need to tell you, if you are a leader of the caliber of Lowassa, for example, leaders cannot come out outrightly to show that they are just supporting this faction and that faction. You are, a diplomat. So you cannot go to another country and show outrightly what he did. That is not how to unite nations, and it's not how to unite the people. Let countries deal with their issues, and then now come in when you must. But you cannot just come outright and do things the way you want to do them.
Very well. We will be back in about 30 seconds. Don't go away. This is Opinion 2017.
Mwangaza bila wasitotaka, mabadiliko bila unavyoweza, tuwe salama, wewe pia wajibika, mwangaza bila wasitotaka, mabadiliko bila unavyoweza. Tuwe salama, wewe pia wajibika. Ni mtoto wa kika, baba yuko mbele.
Twasawazisha mabadiliko, twasawazisha mabadiliko, badilisha.
Mwangaza bila wasitotaka, mabadiliko bila unavyoweza. Tuwe salama, wewe pia wajibika. Ni mtoto wa kika, baba yuko mbele.
Twasawazisha mabadiliko, twasawazisha mabadiliko, badilisha.
This is Opinion 2017. We were just laughing at a joke by Mheshimiwa TJ Kajwang. Of course, we are joined by Ruaraka Member of Parliament, Mheshimiwa TJ Kajwang. Mheshimiwa, congratulations for winning.
Thank you.
And
Thank
welcome.
You,
and
Thank
welcome.
You.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very good to see you. Mheshimiwa TJ Kajwang is fresh from a NASA PG meeting, which was happening at Wiper House, and of course was attended by all NASA principals. Now, Mheshimiwa, just to bring us to speed, the elections date appears to be a sticky issue. I mean, some people are saying NASA has rejected the date that was announced by IEBC. Some people are saying that date was announced by Matiang'i. What is the exact position?
Well, Maurice, as you know, NASA cannot reject going for an election. Mm-hmm. The problem is IEBC thinks that business is always as usual. Mm. The fact of the matter is that issues to do with elections,
yes,
programming,
yes,
operations, and so on, the law expects that there will be consultation between parties. This is what we have flagged. It is there in the law. Mm-hmm. IEBC never know that there is parties who have stake in an election. Mm-hmm. And so when somebody arbitrarily chooses a date,
yes,
and decides that that date will be the date of election,
mm-hmm,
they are forgetting that there are crucial members of the who have a stake
yes,
in this process.
Mm-hmm.
And so all we are saying is that Matiang'i cannot just pick a date from the air and throw it on people, whether he's acting as interior CS, or whether he's acting as CS for education. After all, IEBC does not fall under his mandate. You should know that.
So where does Matiang'i come in all this?
Well, I understand. This is just what I understand, because you see, this date was given to us through when Matiang'i was addressing the nation, and was saying...
Oh, he addresses the nation these days?
Yes, he was talking about things to do with the exams, and then he was saying that he hopes that the elections will be done after the exams, meaning that he knew the date of the elections. So this is where IEBC must have picked this thing from the air. And we are saying that we have to have, this time we are not going to leave anything to chance. We are going to we are going to be part and parcel of these arrangements from the word go. Mm-hmm. So as far as we are concerned, mm-hmm, that date just exists in the mind of IEBC and Matiang'i. Our principles, and this is what we have come up from the PG, our principles this afternoon and in a couple of hours that are coming are going to meet IEBC, mm-hmm, in a structured manner,
yes,
in which we as NASA are going to give what are our suggestions, not, mm-hmm, our suggestions, mm-hmm, our demands which must be met. before we are able to say that we are ready. I mean that the country is ready for the elections. So until that comes out,
yes,
the date is part of it, and a score of many other things which I'm sure you're going to come to. A score of those things are on the table. Everything is on the table.
Quick one. Esther Hamisi should be allowed to vote in London. Please, I traveled in August. Then now, please allow us to vote here. It's my right as a Kenyan. We have Lekuta Festas is saying, watching. Thank you very much for watching. Mheshimiwa Nancy Abisai, what does it mean? Because some people are now saying that NASA does not want our children to do exams. NASA is interfering with the school calendar. Where does it leave us? Leave you as a parent, perhaps?
I think that's a very, very sad statement to make. Because who is NASA? NASA is Kenyans. Well, in fact, I've been hearing this statement when people say Kenyans decided, Kenyans said. What is NASA? Are people in NASA not Kenyans? We are also Kenyans.
Yes.
And then when you say NASA does not care, the people who belong also, who support the NASA, are they not parents?
They are parents.
We are parents. We have children going to school. So it is, you cannot say that we don't want our children to do A, B, C, D. We want them to go to school. But you also must understand, and people must know, that in any country, you have your politics wrong, it affects every other thing. Now, you want to a situation where you're saying, look, we have just come from a ruling. What we need to do is dialogue and consultation. It's not about, I have said it, take it or leave it, it's my way or the highway. That's not how we take things. Because when you come with a fist and tell people, I'm pushing it down your throat, take it whether you like it or not, how do you expect somebody else to do it? We are just saying, can't it be a process? In fact, there is no problem even if they had suggested, before they announce, they say, listen, we have some dates we've suggested, why don't we all come? Let's agree on one or two things. Before we suggest the first, let's look at the date. Then we also suggest other things that we need to do. That's how you do it. But you don't just wake up in the morning, make a public announcement, tell people take it or leave it. If you don't want it, you don't want elections. If you don't want it, or you don't want the children to go to court, I think it's a very unfair judgment.
Vickery, Uhuru is on record saying he wasn't consulted and he doesn't have a problem.
When you saw Matiang'i making a suggestion of 17, then later on Chebukati confirmed that. I think what Jubilee is out to ensure is that the mess that led to nullification of this election is not sorted. They want us to go into another election with the same people that led us here. That is why they want to rush things. So that is what Jubilee generally want to hide. But the most important thing is that we must not go into another election with the very, very people that messed us up. These people have not even looked at the servers. The anti-logarithm that was there in that server is still there. So
you said the anti-what? Just break it down for our viewers who may not be very tech-savvy like myself.
The anti-logarithm that was put in that system, so that any time you send in votes, it will give Uhuru Kenyatta a given number, so that it was, at the end of the day, Y is equals to MX plus C. That was the thing. So that is what is in the server. So what
you said Y is equal to?
MX plus C. So generally, what Jubilee is out for is to ensure that we go into another election with the same people, the same Chiloba, the same secretariat, the same hackers, so that at the end of the day, they know that if you go to the Supreme Court, they cannot nullify election.
But Mheshimiwa Kajwang, there has been some changes, shall I put it, in IEBC. Some people are said to have been put aside. The term step aside hasn't quite been used this time. Some suspended. Are you satisfied with them? Are they cosmetic?
Well, we are not, I cannot say that we are satisfied, because some of these things we are just hearing them from the media. As I have said, that the most structured process of how we want to engage IEBC is to sit down with them as a coalition which is registered with IEBC to participate in the election. to sit down with them, and on the table, some of these issues that they are raising are spoken on the table.
Yes.
And we see the internal memos, whether it is redeploying people,
yes,
or whether it is terminating people's contract, or whether it is appointing new people.
Yeah.
We'd want to see evidence of this. We are not going to go by media reports and so on. And so the less I say about it, the better. But we want to have a structured discussion, dialogue, and we want this dialogue to be participatory. If Jubilee wants to have the same dialogue, they are welcome. If they don't want, it's really their beef.
Guzman, the DJ watching from America, thank you. Shifat Uthman, they should not be given an opportunity for manipulation. Lazima tuwe gangari. Wizi hatutaki tena. Well, I don't know who exactly the mwizi is, but Mheshimiwa Bisai, wouldn't it be prudent to perhaps have finer details? We have suspended so-and-so for this wrongdoing. We have suspended so-and-so. It's a bit gray, don't you think?
Let me tell you, even the Bible says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. You just need to be transparent and open enough to tell people, these are the actions we are taking. This is how we want to take. This is the reason why we are doing it. And these are our suggestions. And we are opening this window for discussion so that in case there's something we can change, we just want everybody to be comfortable. The minute you start a process with one side feeling left out or disgruntled, you're already starting on a wrong footing. You know, you can't have two people who have disagreed and then now you come and say, okay, since you have disagreed, I've decided this is what I'm doing, you have no say, and it is none of your business, and I'm going to do what I think is right. This is where we get it wrong. What is so wrong about dialogue and consultation? What is wrong? There's nothing, you can never go wrong when you do such things, because you give people an opportunity to bring in suggestions and discuss and come with a win-win agreeable situation.
Yes.
But when you decide to push things down people's throats, that's when you start on a wrong footing. And I guess, is it too much to ask if we say, listen, before you set a date, because even with exams, people prepare, don't they? You have to prepare,
you have to.
And then, you know, people have known all along, the practicals will be this time, because you've prepared, you even know. So even now, what are you preparing for? When you tell us there are 6 people who have been replaced, you have not told us where the rest are. Are they also just hanging around there? These are spearheading. But these ones, have they been suspended as in not going to
and how about the new ones? The new ones, would it be prudent to subject them to a process? Or?
And let me tell you, it is important because the court ruling already, with that, anybody could take action. But the chairman, it would have been prudent for him to even do a quick audit and come up with some very, very, as IEBC on their own, and come up with some 1 or 2 things. So when he writes letters, apart from the court ruling, he's also saying authoritatively as a chair that because of A, B, C, D, I can no longer keep you here. And even that audit could have been going on while he now says, look, I'm taking an audit on these people, and here we have already replaced, we are taking from within because of A, B, C, D, and tell us what are the strengths of these people. How did he decide to come up with them? Because this is a process.
Very well. Sokomob, NASA this time must transmit live results as they come in. Last time it was a letdown. Please transmit live results. Well, maybe the personnel in this studio need to be led to the servers. then we can transmit live. Mheshimiwa, you are part of the legal team. And I must say congratulations. I didn't know Kenya had very brilliant lawyers. The court order, was it adhered to in full? And if not, what should happen? I hear when you don't comply with the court order, there should be consequences.
Thank you for that question, but let me step back and just finish perhaps where we were.
Yeah.
I think let us put this in context. That the cry to restructure IEBC has been a cry that has been there since the year 2007. You remember when we had the Bengal elections, the most infamous Kibaki elections, in which led to post-election violence.
Yes.
And we had the judge coming all the way from South Africa to come and find out.
That is Justice Kriegler?
Kriegler.
Yes.
The names of these same people appeared.
Really?
Yes, the names of these people appeared. The name, for example, of this lady who is in charge of voter registration, Kasait, appeared in that report. I know for a fact because I was counsel representing ODM in that proceedings. So I have first-hand information. And a score of others also appeared in that report. And after that, nothing was done. When then there was the clamor by popular will of the people to have IBC out, Uhuru was not willing to let the secretariat be swept with a clean sweep. So what did he do? He allowed the commission, he was forced to step aside as the commission was removed.
Yes.
But he stood his guns on the secretariat. And basically he was just rewarding them. And we have seen what the secretariats have done for having stood for them. Chiloba simply rewarded Uhuru. That's what he did. He was his stooge from that day. And so all these things that you see they were doing in the secretariat, so many things were done, may have been done without the knowledge of the commission, or things which the commission could not stop them to do.
Yes. And
so, in a sense, listening to the chair say that he's now going to remove these people and to replace them is water coming too late. It is really coming too late. It should have happened before, in the year 2007. But anyway, these people have been a disgrace to Kenyans. Whichever day they go, the better. They must go. And so we support equivocally the fact that these people, that we have a chance to clean the secretariat. Because if you have the commission there and you don't clean the secretariat, these people have learned from the bad manners from before. So that is what I can respond to. But coming back to the case,
the specific court order to open service.
Yes, exactly. There have been orders for specific orders on audit and for scrutiny, meaning that there was an order to compel IBC to release their servers to the parties in question, and it was couched in very careful terms.
Yes.
That we were granted read-only access. But that read-only access would involve them releasing where the IP addresses are and the data itself that found its way. You remember that the complaint that NASA brought to court was that at a particular point in time, specifically at midnight of that shameful night, the servers were simply stopped. And between that time, there was a process of some 2-3 hours in which persons who were not authorized to use the server had access and threw in data during that period of time.
Wow.
And so this is what we want to know. We want to know who it was that accessed the server.
So I'm asking, if up to now IBC has not complied, what can be done to compel them, or is that now fait accompli? It will not happen?
Well, first of all, I think from a legal point of view,
yes,
one would want to wait for the reasoned judgment of the court. Because you see, what we have now are simply orders that the court made, but the court is yet to give reasoned judgment. Inside that reasoned judgment, the court will deal with whether or not the refusal of IBC to release the servers was reasonable. You see, they said that one time they were saying the servers are in France.
Oh yeah, we had some.
Then the story changed and now the servers were in America.
Oh.
And that the time difference is, when the time difference between us and France was not long enough, then the time difference between us and the United States was now long enough. But of course, we have a report.
Yes.
Which we now have from the court. From the court-appointed ICT person.
Yes.
Who said these reports are not in France? They are not in the United States. These things are here in Thika here. Just next to as you drive to Garissa, tucked somewhere under a culvert. So there's nothing which is in France.
Well, I don't know what to say to that. But somebody is asking, push the date, Patrick Namakutu, push the date till December. Vickery, is there a possibility of pushing this date if all the reforms are not done in good time? And what are the implications?
Okay, I think Jubilee cannot allow the date to be pushed. Because what that...
Well, I mean, it's really not for them to allow. Okay. I thought this is being done by IEBC.
The IEBC, the way it has been acting, it is like it is another arm of Jubilee government. So Jubilee will push the IEBC to ensure that the election are held within the 60 days. Because what Uhuru's term actually had expired. It is only that when the court said that we must hold another election within 60 days, it therefore means that if we cannot hold an election within 60 days, then we'll be a crisis. We are going to be in a state of crisis where a state of emergency can be...
What crisis will be there? As a common Mwananchi, Uhuru right now is not the president as he was before the elections, and everything seems to be going on.
Okay. So, he's not a president as he was, but he still has some powers.
Okay.
Yeah, he still controls the army, what have you. So he's still commander-in-chief. But when the 60 days elapses, he ceases being president. He cannot order anything. So that way, we'll be in a state of crisis, and therefore we must have a transitional government. So I think the government will be very careful. The IEBC will be careful to ensure that the election are held within the 60 days.
That should not be read to mean like that is the NASA position.
It is not NASA position. That is the law. But if we are candid enough, if you would ask me, I would say that it is time we stop saying that IEBC is an independent body. If we want to have a credible election in this country, then we should have parties nominating commissioners to IEBC and even having their members in the secretariat so that they protect the interest of their parties. Because what we're having now is a case whereby people pretend and masquerade that they are independent, but when they go there, they serve the interest of given people. Like currently, the secretariat was serving interest of Jubilee. It doesn't need rocket science to know that. So we must run away from this pretense that we want to pretend that, IEBC is independent or what. It is time we come to reality and say as a nation that for us to have a credible election that every other party will be comfortable with, it is time we nominate the commissioners and even the secretaries. So
thank you. Mheshimiwa Bisai, what will be the threshold that perhaps will make you comfortable as someone who's been who's a legislator in IALA? What reforms, or rather is it minimum or major, that need to happen before?
No, I think we have Mheshimiwa has just said they've come from a PG.
Yes.
And they have, as NASA, I think we have laid down what we feel is the basic minimum that must be put on table before we consider then going into an election. And I think that is what we should start. That's just where we should start. Number two, I think we should actually, and I think as NASA, we all want to have an election within the 60 days. So nobody should start saying that NASA does not want to go into an election.
Uhuru has been saying NASA is not
we want
ready.
To be, no. It is about the process. Remember what the court was very clear. The process is as good as the final result. You cannot just talk about result, because I've been hearing people talking about result.
Yes,
but the process is the means that determines the results. So we cannot just say, let's just go to our election tomorrow without knowing what mechanisms have been put
George
in place.
Onduko says
Basic
IEBC
minimums.
did all this. Government needs to quit blaming NASA. We should have our president, Raila, sworn in, and students will be doing the exams. Tibin, I mean, this Tibin thing. I don't know. I hope he's not going to be part of exams. Henry Obonya, change must come. Samamondi, IBC changes are cosmetic surgery. We can't allow this serious error of judgment on the part of IBC chairman. Mheshimiwa Kajwang, some people are saying that NASA is becoming too much. You guys, the NASA lawyers, and it's good you're here, you've been to court against IBC a record number of times. Every time, even who is on record saying IBC announces a date, and even before 24 hours elapse now. I mean, some people are saying that NASA is now beginning to look like they really don't want elections.
Well, if somebody thinks that by going to court we are becoming too much, then he has a problem which he needs to deal with. Mm-hmm. Because let me tell you, we will go to court if that is the only opportunity, the avenue to be able to get our rights on each and every item until one inch of this country would be freed from the shackles of regression and corruption. Mm-hmm. But let us not cheapen this thing. Mm-hmm. We begin from here.
Yes.
That we don't want Uhuru to have any single second or minute more than he is entitled to. He has outlived his period of time in State House. He is now a squatter in State House. And so we are not going to allow him to take any other minute. So we are the people who want these elections to be done like tomorrow.
Yeah. That's a tough term to use. Squatter?
Well, yes, you see, I'll explain it. I'll explain it as a constitutional lawyer.
I hear you.
Article 132 of the Constitution defines Uhuru's terms. Article 140 describes how Uhuru, president, is elected or not. What the president now is enjoying is something called a caretaker incumbency. He's just a caretaker. Who is a caretaker if not a squatter? If somebody is in home, he is only a caretaker.
I didn't see that coming. It's okay.
There must be a legitimate occupant of the place. So the guy is just a caretaker for the period of time to midwife the elections. We thought that we were done with him on 8th of August. Kumbe, the guy had an arsenal under his feet. Mm-hmm. But we are going to definitely do with him within the 60 days. So forget about it. We want that election. Don't be mistaken. We want it in the earliest time that it can be, except there are things which we have seen, and we are not going to go in these elections blindly. Things which must be done, preparations which must be undertaken. We must have an election which is going to not to be a joke, which is going to be something that will right the wrongs that have been done in this country once and for all.
Yvonne Haider, school calendar is not an issue. Jubilee is just making school calendar a scapegoat. I sat for my 4th form examination in 2012. I remember the timetable was released 2-3 times, exam being postponed. By the way, there's a time teachers were on strike for most of the year. And
actually,
people still did exams.
We had a crisis. The teachers were on strike.
Yes.
There were no teachers to administer exams.
Yes.
So I remember we postponed exams and postponed and postponed and postponed. But exams still happened.
Mheshimiwa, if IBC says we are not moving the date by a single day or hour, what happens? Back to the streets?
Well, first of all, I hope that IBC should be seeing itself as a constitutional commission, which should be guided by law, which should be guided by reason. And I want to think that even when they propose any date for elections, that they must be persuaded by concrete evidence and concrete facts that would lead to those dates. But if we show them, as we will, that there are certain preparations which are minimum, which are irreducible issues that we cannot negotiate below, that these issues must be done first before those dates are done, then I want to believe that they should have the grace to accept what is facts, what is logic, and what is law. But I know that, and as my brother says, the IBC ceased to be independent long time ago. If they want to be truant with this country, then they will be talking to Wananchi of this country. I can tell them that. They'll be talking to Wananchi.
In which language?
Well, you know, Wananchi, the sovereign will belongs to the people.
I mean, Wananchi are not to speak in this country in different languages.
And I've seen the people's power spoken very, very powerfully. And I can assure them, if they don't want to speak to elected or representatives of the people, they might as well talk to the people themselves. And the people only know one language.
Which one is?
Which your guess is as good as mine.
Okay. I hope it doesn't get to that. Vickery, does the Kenyan get lost in this? This appears now not to be about IBC delivering on its constitutional mandate. It's like a Raila versus Uhuru thing. And I mean, everything is lost in between here.
Okay, I must say that, you know, we are in a country whereby ethnic slavery and colonization sometimes tend to play when it ought not to. Because when you look at Kenya today, we are in a country where everything seems to be guided on embedded impunity. So that some people want to perpetuate this impunity and get away with it. So when the court said that the due process was not followed, so that we should have another election, it is not because of Raila, it is not because of Uhuru Kenyatta. If for anything, Kenyans went to the ballot to vote 45% to the county government. They went to the ballot to vote free education for all. Kenyans went to vote so that they can have affordable living standard. Not a case whereby we are in a country, we can't even afford food. We can't.
Yeah, so this very Kenyan we're talking about. Where is this Kenyan in all this argument?
It is about.
Because it appears to be what the NASA leader wants vis-a-vis what the Jubilee leader feels is good. And that's what is coming out.
Okay, the thing is, people should look at it from Raila stands for something. Uhuru Kenyatta stands for something. Uhuru Kenyatta stands for status quo, artless looting and generational wasting.
Wow.
Why
I don't know about
Raila
that. I don't know why. How? I mean,
just let me make my point. While Raila stands for progressive agenda for our country, because you can't really be a president who is presiding over massive looting. And when people ask you that finally God has blessed us with some oil here, please, Mr. President, just give us 10% of it. Then you call those people devils. So it is about Raila and Uhuru Kenyatta in the sense that there is some ideology that Raila Odinga stands for. But there's that regressive status quo that Uhuru Kenyatta will want to perpetuate. So we should look at it from that point.
Well, I just admire your conviction. I don't know where you derive your evidence from. But you appear to know a lot more than we do, especially pertains to that. Outer, we were not counted as diaspora voters. They only consider the ones within East Africa. I'm from Qatar. It's our right to vote as Kenyans. Please, Honorable Kajwang, can you raise that issue in Bunge? Mheshimiwa, how was the voter turnout in Tanzania? I want to believe we voted in Tanzania.
Yeah, people voted in Tanzania. They did.
What was the registration time? Was it 40,000?
I am not so sure because for me, you know, I was the county agent in Vihiga. So I was concentrating more in my local.
Yeah, while we are still in that, are your local people in Vihiga left out of all this? Because sometimes we focus, the argument is so much on individuals. It's like there'll be no other election after this 2017. So there's some people who feel that even if we have flaws, let us go on. I mean, the picture being created is just there's this one man called Raila whom you just cannot satisfy. He says this today, you correct it tomorrow.
I think that's a very wrong notion. When we were, in fact, this time around, even do you know there's a 98-year-old lady who was fasting?
98-year-old?
98-year-old. She fasted for almost 2 days. A 98-year-old. And you know what she was fasting for?
Yes.
She was fasting that Raila would be given justice on the court case. And when she heard the ruling, you know, she cried and she said, even if God takes her away, she knows that the country is headed somewhere for her grandchildren, her great-grandchildren. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? You see, even when people were lining up to vote,
yes,
it was not a question of convincing them about anything. The voter turnout and even the people who came out know what they wanted to vote for. They know what they want. It's not about convincing anybody right now. It's just telling them, look, we are going back. I know you voted. Just go back and do as you did in the right way, and you know who you wanted. In fact, we were the ones who were telling them, okay, we all know. People were coming out of their homes and even chanting, saying, me, I've already gone to Canaan. You're the one who is waiting.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people here
that was the
who
slogan.
are watching from Canaan.
That was
a
the
slogan. Tony Mwando Lukecho. What is NASA waiting for? We want them to hit the road campaigning, so that we can have a real celebration after a real win. Okay, there's a name here. Let me read the comment. I won't go into the name. No, Chebukati changed the positions of his players on IBC, but the team is the same. NASA, how? Mheshimiwa Kajwang, moving forward, somebody has actually mentioned about campaigns. I'm aware NASA was in a neighboring constituency to yours, in Mathare, in Kisii, but there are already political realignments. Munya has joined NASA, and we have a host of of some leaders from Mheshimiwa besides counties and neighboring counties. What do you make of all this?
Well, first of all, the viewer called Tony, I think your perspective is correct, and we take it with a lot of courage that we should be on the ground. We should not be on the boardroom anymore. And I can tell you that I think we have had enough boardrooms. The last date was today, when we as PG, we were now receiving all the reports. You see, when the results were, when the verdict was given, we had to do some SWOT analysis and to really understand where we were. But I can tell Tony that now we received reports from all these debriefings, and now we have created structures and units which are going to move to the ground. We have units which are ward-based. We have units which are constituency-based, as well as units which are now presidentially based. So these are structures which, as we are speaking right now, are firmly on the ground. And you are not going to see people in any meeting anyway. You are going to see people right on the ground where the rubber meets the bullet. But, there's been a lot of realignments on either sides.
What do you make of Munya joining NASA?
Yesterday I was in Capital Center, the office of the presidential candidate, and I met Peter Munya, my friend.
Oh, he is your friend?
No, he's not only my friend. He was a class before me.
Oh, wow.
No, after me.
Which school was this?
No, the faculty. It's only one place where people are. Faculty of Law.
Oh, I was about to say Ujalo Itakua, but again, you are with Munya. It's okay.
It's only one place where, so you see, I can see a lot changing in areas which are traditionally thought to be Jubilee strongholds.
Yes.
And that is why you ask, is this thing about Raila and Uhuru? I think not. I think Wananchi is perceiving more to it than just individuals who are just candidates. I think it is a question of people who want change in this country and people who will never allow, stoics, who will never allow change. And this comes from all walks in life. It doesn't matter which region you come. And this is why you will see a lot of movements in places which, like Nyambene, you will see places like Imenti. You will even see the Nithis of this world.
Yes.
Okay? Of course, I know Jubilee has been trying to throw in goodies all over. Lusaka is never a goodie to anybody. Thinking that Lusaka, that brings in Bungoma, and you saw a group of questionable characters going to State House the other day. Each of them has a story to tell.
Did you say questionable characters?
I'll
Why?
tell you.
Why?
Politically, they have questionable characters.
Like who? What?
Some joker, in my view.
Okay.
It's called Cyrus Jirongo. He's a joker because the guy goes around saying that he's a presidential material. And then when it comes to shove, we do not see him other than being just a Trojan horse of Uhuru. Then Marende, who has bled the blood of ODM ever since he came in politics, and without bashing a face, he walks to State House. We have seen him before there. I think he was rewarded by being some chairman of a board in some nondescript company. And then Gumo, and some of those characters. You can name all of them. This, in fact, we want all of them to go there. We want to offload all these Vinyanganyiros, all these people who are politically questionable. Let them land on the basket of Jubilee, so that we can run with the real people. We can run with the Bisais. We can run with people in Vihiga. People who wananchi know that are leaders, genuine leaders.
Mheshimiwa, not all of us have had the benefit of being in the faculty. So you have used some two words. I think our viewers are requesting that you probably explain. You use a word called stoics,
yes,
and nondescripts. Could you perhaps, for the benefit of our viewers, not all of us who are in the faculty?
Well, stoics refers to people who are impervious to change. They will never change. They want the same systems, what he was calling the status quo people, because they enjoy it. It favors them. It favors them. They are in comfort zones.
Nondescripts?
Nondescripts are miscreant characters.
You are using you're making it worse, Mheshimiwa.
Marende was appointed in some company which the government is owning just not more than 23% shares. KPLC. That is a nondescript company as far as I'm concerned. It is a small thing. It is not a big thing that has ever happened around.
In fact,
I hear you.
To add on to that, before we even finish, let me look at one who from my own county.
Yeah, because
the one who was running.
The Mulembe. It is being said now the Mulembe.
No.
Has gone to Jubilee.
Please, talk about individuals. It's about me, myself, and I. People do these things for their own reasons. I'm glad there's no woman there, but...
really? Come to think about it.
Yeah.
No,
what does he say?
Because ladies don't do those nondescript things.
Let me tell you something. Akaranga, just to speak,
yes,
when NASA was coming to Vihiga before even the election,
yes,
I remember he kept saying, I'm in NASA, I should be enjoined, PPK is NASA. And Musalia Mudavadi did never pronounce him as being part of this arrangement. Why? Because everybody knows the questionable character. He wanted to ride on the wave of NASA to clinch his seat. And so when that did not happen, he just went where he belongs. He went back to where he belongs. And that is what we know. And all along, we knew that that is where he belongs. He was just campaigning for himself, and he just wanted to get his seat. And when he didn't get his seat, he went back where his heart really is. He was never really with us in NASA. Yeah, and that is why the current governor beat him.
Who's the current governor?
Wilbur Hasilwa Otichilo.
Wow.
He's NASA.
Congratulations.
And that is our governor. He's an ODM governor.
Wilbur Hasilwa
Otichilo.
Yes. Okay, we'll be having him here sooner than later. But Ababu Namwamba, Otuoma, Kangati, will this have an impact in the coming elections?
Let's go to a county like Bungoma, where Kangati was. And Kangati, by all means, was the one spearheading the NASA campaigns, the ODM campaigns, because we had Fort Kenya as well. And the NASA flag bearer supported him 100%. It is really shocking when he comes out to say he was not supported, and that is why.
Yeah, but what impact would it have on the ground?
The impact, you see, Wangamati, the current governor right now.
Yeah, WW.
If people want to feel change, who brings the change on the ground? Isn't it the governor?
Yes.
Isn't it the governor? Now, how is the seat of the speaker going to help people in Bungoma as opposed to the seat of the governor? I think that's the question you should ask. The governor is the one who is supposed to, through devolution, bring development by ensuring some of these, the sectors have been funded and that they are actually working for the good of the people on the ground.
So basically, this whole movement within their media house is reporting that Jubilee has raided NASA stronghold, Mulembe
No,
Nation.
but they were there. They were.
Mulembe, I saw Ababu in a picture with the Huru, they were hugging and all that. Ababu Mwamba, no effect in Busia?
But he was there
Vickery?
before.
Okay, when I look at all these characters, the Babus of this world, the Utumas of this world, these are a crop of people who doesn't have any morals to hold on to. In fact, I would say these are people who get paid to stop thinking. So anytime you bring money around, they can go either side.
Who pays them? Vickery, come on.
There is money in Jubilee. It must be remembered that Jubilee government cannot account for around 350,000 billion within 5 years. So they have that money, they have Eurobond. So anytime you dish out money, people who can get paid to stop thinking can go for that. So somebody like Ababu na Mwamba Utuoma, they've been in Jubilee. So it is just a matter of PR. They are saying that they come to Jubilee. So look at somebody like Cyrus Jirongo. He was a presidential candidate. He was a project of State House. People must know that. The reason he was vying, Jubilee and Uhuru Kenyatta thought that him being a lawyer and vying will get some votes and therefore snatch them away from Raila Odinga. So that never worked. And therefore, he must survive. He must go there and get the billions that was looted.
Before we wrap up, Millie Luanga, cosmetic changes won't cut it. They need to open the server fully and prosecute wrongdoers. Get a new team, then do elections. If IBC need a political solution, then they need to say so and stop wasting Kenyans' time. Moving forward, just to wrap up the show, I'll start with you, Mheshimiwa Bisai. What should the people of Vihiga expect from NASA moving forward, or what narrative perhaps should NASA employ so that they make sure they get the votes there?
I think for us, people are ready to just go back to the ballot and vote for their favorite candidate, who is Raila Amolo Odinga, and vote for NASA, and that is it. People don't need to be convinced anymore. People know what they want, and I told you, especially you could tell when the ruling was made, and it is unfortunate that the media chose to air other parts of Kenya, and they didn't want to air others. They needed to actually be able to show what is going on in every other section in this country, because there was jubilation everywhere. So we just want to go back to the ground and tell people, look, you said that you had already gone to Canaan, but somebody stopped you midway. So now we are ready to go. And that is it. And the Canaan issue has not stopped.
It's real.
The journey is on, and everybody is waiting. The journey is real. And that is the language people understand.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Very well. Vickery, as you wrap up, as a researcher, these movements, numbers are being floated left, right, and center. Oh, Meru, 500,000, blah, blah, blah. Oh, so and so. Do you see it changing the political landscape?
To some extent, it will. We have noble Kenyans who get to reason. We have those who are galvanized, as I said. They can't go beyond their ethnic kings. But what I would say is that if you look at the NASA agenda, what is important for me? If I look at a county like Nairobi, that are currently getting 15 billion per year, that is in terms of devolved funds. If we devolve 45, they will be getting around 45 billion. If you look at a county like Kiambu that gets around 9 billion, it means they will be getting around 27 billion. And that is just good money that can bring the transformation that you want in this country. My final comment would be, IBC should stop these rat racing games that they're playing with us. We cannot be fooled by exam, that exam is the measure, that exam will determine when we are going to vote. They must they must motivate our instincts in such a way that when we go to the election, our votes are going to count. Because we have around 2 million Kenyans who are in the street without jobs. So why do they want more people to graduate? Where are they going to? We can even have that exam next year.
Wow, somebody, before I get to you, Mutua Mwengi, a question. How should Kenyans believe IBC again to run a free and fair election? In the first place, they couldn't. If it's about school exams, if there is a venue, for example, IBC can apply Supreme Court for extension of time to allow exams to take place. I don't know how true that is. Mheshimiwa, you can respond to that. And also, I hear somebody is taking you to court. I hear somebody is taking you to court. Ed, Nairobi County, is anybody filing a petition for the gubernatorial position? I mean, people are asking. It seems NASA appears to have a very strong case. Is anybody challenging Sonko in court? I mean, you can respond to those, then you have your closing remarks.
Well, first of all, you cannot extend the 60 days. The 60 days is in the Constitution. And so neither the court nor anybody else can change it. We have to have those elections within 60 days. Two, there is no reason to extend those dates. They are enough for us. We are sending these guys packing home within the 60 days. As I told you, we don't want Uhuru in State House for any more second than is due for him. Millie Luanga said something that is interesting. I think when we get the judgment, the reasoned judgment, we will insist that everything which was ordered by the court is done. I mean, Kenyans want to know, so what happened? What really happened into this server? And who are these people who hacks or who enter into servers illegally? Who are these people who allegedly chop other people's fingers to be able to enter the server? If the chairman of IBC says that he did not authorize his codes to be used, so who used it on behalf of the chair? Kenyans are entitled to this information, and we as the legal team will provide that. Even it has nothing to do with this election. It only has everything to do with access to justice and access to information. We will get that information, and Kenyans will know. So what happened in the elections that were done on 8th of August. About who has filed a petition?
Yeah, I hear. I don't know. I don't know how true it is. I mean, I just happen to know a lot of people know a lot of things.
I'm also seeing from Twitter handles and so on, there is this rumor all over from the FM stations, and I don't know why he chose, she or he chose vernacular stations for this.
I don't know.
But look, I'm used to this kind of thing. I'm used to this opponent. She's a crybaby, and I can tell her, "Baby, come, baby."
Oh,
TJ,
you didn't say that. You didn't say that.
I quoted my friend Miguna.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, you don't make elections personal. Elections are never personal. Elections are about the people. When they make their will, when they have spoken.
So you firmly believe Ruaraka spoke?
Well, Ruaraka spoke loud and clear. Even the people who were doubters had it so clear. And so I'm not worried because Ruaraka spoke. And I'm not about to make elections personal. And so when you choose to pursue somebody as though this is an entitlement, I must get it. If I don't get it, I am going to go to court. You will go to court 1,000 times, but the people will still speak the same language they spoke.
Wow.
So the last thing is, I want to tell the world that we are ready. We have set units, we are on the ground, and we want to appeal to all Kenyans who have the vote. Those who did not come to vote, please, this time we are going to do 98% voter turnout. And we are calling on volunteers, young people. The other time I spoke to young people who came to me, and people who are, you can't believe, people who want to volunteer on ICT. They have a lot of talents, these young people. We want somebody to create firewalls that when Jubilee throws things in there, we'll just pelter off, you know. And we are looking for volunteer agents. We are not looking for people to be paid or people to make money out of being an agent. We want people this time who want to come and fight for the party.
Yes.
Because the stakes that are
high.
there is the stakes of people who want to have change in this country. We don't want people who are coming there because he's going to be paid 1,000 bob or 2,000 bob. And whether Jubilee will pay 5,000 or something. We don't want that kind of guys that I see crowding in. The other day they were crowding in NASA's office with the Mabangos asking for payment. Yes, payment we must give agents to facilitate them. But that cannot be the primary reason why somebody should offer himself as an agent.
And maybe just
Wow.
as I want
I
to
was
tell
just seeing Kajwang's fist.
another thing that we need to do, we must, and all the Kenyans who please don't say that I don't have time to travel. If you want to make change, you must get out and vote. So you must go to your area and vote. Please don't just sit there and say that you voted and these people will steal again or this will happen. Get out there and vote. And the people who need, at least we know that we can be able to get together like people from Western and get our people to go back and vote.
Mori, you asked about Nairobi, just so that you can finish.
Yeah.
Why there is why nobody is filing a petition in Nairobi? I am personally surprised because in my view, there has been lots and loads of evidence of voter tampering and malpractices in the voters. I do not know why somebody is not going to
because I know Sifuna is for the senatorial.
Yes.
But for the gubernatorial, I don't know.
Well, I would have expected, I would have expected our candidate to have, reflected on this. And if he was talking to any lawyer that looked at the evidence, I think every lawyer would have told him, you go to court because you're going to upset us.
Well, you can tell him.
Well, I am not his lawyer of choice.
Okay.
Well, I don't think I...
Well, I just thought you're a good lawyer who recently won a very big case.
Until one day I will be his lawyer, I am not able to advise him. But I can tell Kenyans also that you don't have to be a candidate, by the way.
Are you saying anybody can go to
you don't
court?
have to be a candidate to file a petition. Any Kenyan or any Nairobian can file a petition.
And then what happens?
Evidence.
I mean, the candidates, anybody can vie now?
No. There will just be a petition. The point is to nullify that election. After that, the people who, contested in those elections would recontest.
And someone who did not...
That is a legal advice for free.
Okay.
Even to people who have not chosen me as their advocates.
Wow. Just to close, I mean, there's been this thing about challenges. We had the Mugabe challenge. We had the Museveni challenge. And I'm hearing guys saying there's the Uhuru challenge. I don't know what exactly it is, but... I don't know if you guys will be willing to. Don't go there, Vikari. Thank you very much for watching. This is Opinion 2017. Good luck and goodbye. Asante sana. Challenge.